Pinky grabbed the poncho and, in a rapid series of twirls, twists, and bends of her hooves, unwove and threaded it back together in the shape of a noose. She wrapped it around Silver Star's neck, catching one of his limbs under the rope and pulling it tight. Pinky put on the fake accent again, addressing her latest victim.
Sheriff Silver Star, for the crime of committing and murdering your dear friend Chiefy, I sentence you to death by hanging.
With that, a 6-foot-tall platform with a drop-down section sprang out of the ground below the pair. As it rose from the earth, Pinky tied the rope around a suspension beam that built itself over their heads. The sheriff's free hooves settled on the trap door, as Pinky adorned a black executioner's hood. A release lever grew from the floor in front of the manacle pony.
Does the condemned have any last words?
I didn't do...
Too late!
Flicking the large switch, the trapdoor fell, and Silver Star right behind it. A hoof tapped against his throat prevented the rope from completely tightening itself against his neck, much to the annoyance of Pinkie Pie. His hind limbs kicked at the air desperately as he tried to pull himself up from the sudden black pit below him that somehow appeared out of nowhere.
Oh, come on! This couldn't be easy and quick,
Pinky snarled.
Well, I do have an idea that will help speed this along.
Reaching behind the platform, she clumsily dragged up the scalped dead body of Chief Thunderhooves and flopped it onto the floor. It had a rope already tied to his neck, similarly to the sheriff's. Silver Star's eyes widened at the grisly sight of his deceased friend, and kicked even harder. The hole that the condemned was hanging through grew larger on its own as Pinky strapped Thunderhooves' body to Silver Star's hoof and rolled him down into the chasm. The sheriff gasped and wheezed as the rope around his neck suddenly tightened, but he did still manage to fight, barely.
Wow, you're tough. Must be the earth pony in you. Okay, you forced me to pull out the big guns.
Ducking below again, Pinky yanked out a refrigerator, a large rock, the barred door of his jail cell, 2 life-size dolls of her own image, and a kitchen sink from out of nowhere. Each item already had their own rope wrapped around them as well. With an unspoken command, she pointed at Silver Star and the ropes came to life, darting around and around his legs and hips, tying themselves tight. The floor opened again and swallowed everything whole. With the excessive weight being too much for his fragile body to handle, Silver Star's midsection tore and spilled his innards into the abyss, dragged down by the pantheon of items Pinky found. What was left of the sheriff's body sputtered and twitched involuntarily for a few seconds, before his eyes rolled into the back of his head. Satisfied with her latest kill, Pinky bounced with joy, squealing with delight.
Well, I should be off now. Appaloosa's been good to me, but there's someplace else I need to be for a while, Pinky said. Suddenly, an idea came to her, and she smiled widely. Hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo! This whole thing reminds me of a song! Silver Star, you want to help me sing it?
He didn't answer.
Hooey on you!
She cleared her throat and began to sing. A few hours had passed, and it was getting close to lunch. Deputy Dusty stepped inside the sheriff's office and headed into the kitchen. Pulling out a plastic tray from a cabinet by his hooves, he set a plate and a few bits of chilled fruit from the fridge onto it. Even though it was likely that Silver Star was going to be found guilty of murder, he could at least still be gracious to him. He rarely showed any signs of hostility to any pony, and certainly not to his buffalo chums. He balanced the tray on his back and closed the refrigerator door. "Sheriff, got some stuff for you," he said, unlocking the detention wing's gate and stepping inside. He took a few steps until he saw Silver Star's body hanging by his vest that had been wrapped around his neck by the highest horizontal bar. But that wasn't what caused him to jump in fright and spill the plate of its contents onto the floor. Below his torso was his lower half and his intestines, stomach, and just about everything else laid in a terrible pile, leaving no evidence as to how something like this could have happened. The awful stench and the buzzing flies almost made Dusty vomit where he stood. "Oh, goddesses, help! Some pony, help!" he screamed as he ran out of the building.